Hey Redeemer, thank you for joining us for this month's edition of The Big Idea, which is a video series that we've put together to talk about and to explain Redeemer's strategic priorities and how we are applying those priorities and developing those priorities in our ministry here at Redeemer. So in 2007, retired football coach, NFL coach Tony Dungy came out with a book that he entitled Uncommon. And the purpose of this book was that Coach Dungy wanted to write to and encourage young men, in particular young athletes, who are Christians, to live their lives in an uncommon manner. And the book is written basically from the premise that because Jesus has called us to follow him, then our lives are to be uncommon. And he makes all kinds of different applications about how our lives are to be lived in an uncommon manner, whether it be with our integrity, our character, our decision-making, whether it be in our relationships with friends and family members and neighbors and people that are kind of in our group, our relational huddle, or whether that's in places like our career and as we climb the ladder professionally and even with how we use our money. And there's this great passage that Tony Dungy writes here in the book Uncommon that I'd like to share with you today. He says these words: "We begin to approach a true understanding of what Christian stewardship is when we realize that everything that we have is a gift from God. We are His, and the things that we have in our control are His resources entrusted to us for wise usage. Perhaps I would even add, for wise eternal usage. When we begin to see ourselves as the stewards or the trustees of the resources that we control, not the owners, we are on the verge of understanding the true meaning of stewardship, whether those resources are our bodies, our abilities, our time, or our possessions. So if it all comes from him, I suppose one of the questions he might be asking us is this: can you be trusted with what I have given you?" That's this issue of stewardship that Tony Dungy writes about in the book Uncommon. Well, in the month of October around here at Redeemer, we are going to be going into a sermon series that is entitled Uncommon Sense. And this sermon series is going to be kind of partnering up with a product that the Lutheran Church Extension Fund comes out with called Consecrated Stewards. And the two of these things are going to be working together for us here at Redeemer, for us to think about our lives through the lens of this lordship of Jesus, through the lens of the leadership of Jesus. Because as Christian, Jesus calls us to an uncommon life where our lives, our entire lives are lived underneath his lordship and under his leadership, even the area of our finances. And so the entire month of October, this message of uncommon sense is going to be driving us to think about our lives, and particularly our financial lives, underneath the lordship and the leadership of Jesus Christ. Now, as we do this, we're going to be really trying to work very hard to thread a needle with our messaging. And threading the needle works like this. We recognize that there are some churches out there and some pastors out there who spend a lot of time talking about, preaching about, teaching about money. And to the extent where they kind of get money hungry, right? They talk about how God blesses us with financial resources, and the more financial resources we have, that means the more God is blessing us. And they almost become obsessed with this entire topic of God's blessing and God's money that he gives to us. And so we're not going to take that approach, right? But we also recognize that if Jesus calls us as Christians, if he calls us to position him as the Lord and the leader of our lives, that means he wants to be the Lord and the leader of our entire lives, as Tony Dungy writes about in his book. Our integrity, our character, our decision-making, absolutely. Our relationships, our friendships, our family, our neighbors, how we love and serve and forgive other people in our lives, absolutely. In our careers and in our career path, absolutely. But also in the area of our finances. If Jesus is going to be the Lord of our life, that means that Jesus also has to be the Lord of our finances. And so we need to take some time to talk about that and think about that and pray about it and ask, Lord Jesus, what would you have me to do with my financial resources as a testament to your lordship in my life? And so during the month of October, we are going to be going through this sermon series entitled Uncommon Sense from that perspective. Now, let me be clear about something. This sermon series, we are not going to be asking for $1 million for a specific program or a specific new initiative or a building or something like that. We're not going to be doing that. We are not coming with some specific agenda that's at the end of it that we're going to surprise you with. The purpose of this sermon series and the entire month of October is simply to have every one of us prayerfully, carefully ask this question: Lord, what would you like me to do with the resources that you have entrusted to me? And in a very personal, private, spiritual way, to ask Jesus how he would lead us with our finances, so that we can think about this question: can you be trusted with what God has given to you? And this entire sermon series, there's going to be videos that we're going to be publishing. There's going to be Bible studies that we're publishing, where there's obviously going to be sermons that we're going to be preaching on. And we're going to be moving towards Consecration Sunday, which is going to be October 30th, Reformation Sunday. You'll be getting letters. You'll be getting all kinds of different communications about Consecration Sunday as it comes forward, but that's something yet to come. So anyway, that's what's coming up in the month of October. That's the big idea for this month as we look forward to living our lives uncommonly for Jesus, serving him, his lordship, and his leadership in our lives. So thank you for joining us for this month's edition of The Big Idea, Redeemer's video series on our strategic plans for our ministry. God's blessings to all of you. We look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.